Okay.
I got my questions too. I'm ready to go. I'm trying to launch it on Facebook. Hold on, that's what I'm doing now. Going live on Facebook, on Instagram. All right, wait a minute, we got one more second.
Dogs are Americans' best friends.
Okay.
That's what they say.
I'm moving a little slow on Facebook, but it's coming. But anyway, I'm so glad that we're getting to do this today.
Dogs are Americans' best friends.
Yes, they are.
That's what they say.
There we go. Okay, we ready? We're ready. Hello, everybody. Today we are here on Impact Moments, and I have we have the pleasure of having Daniel Taylor, entrepreneur. He's got a lot going on. He's gonna tell us all about it. I told him this might be may need to be in more than one segment because it's a lot, and he has a lot to offer. I'm so excited just to have him on our show. I must call it, that's what it is. It's a show. This is an interview, and we're interviewing him. He's an entrepreneur, and he is a businessman. And so he has a lot to tell us. He has a nonprofit called Think Live Happy. And I'm telling you, he's got a lot going on. And hopefully, as you're listening, and if you want to be an entrepreneur or you are an entrepreneur, and maybe you got everything started, but ain't nothing else is happening. Like I got a lot started, but nothing is happening. And so we want to make sure that we move things forward because we don't spend money trying to get things started. And so we need to make money to keep things going. And so anyway, that's what I want to say. So anyway, so we're so excited about it. And it's just about birthing your vision, birthing your dreams, and bringing those things to fruition so that you can be able to move forward. So he's here to tell us how he accomplished that and how he is moving forward. Because in this year, we want to move forward. I know everybody's talking about this is the year of double, and this is the year we're getting so many proclamations and so many prophecies about it. But we really want to see these things come to pass. We just don't want people to keep telling us this is what's going to happen. We want to make it happen. We want to be that make it happen generation along with the younger generation as us. So we got kind of a lot of people on the line today. I don't know. I know I'm a baby boomer. I know Tom is a Gen X. So now, Daniel, you might be younger than all of us, so you might be on that millennial side. So anyway, we just to have us all on this phone because, I don't care what they say. I'm going to keep moving till the Lord tell me I'm not moving no more. So, it is what it is. Anyway, welcome, Daniel, to Impact Moments. And 180 Impact is a nonprofit organization, and our endeavor is to reach generations of all generations. But our focus is really on our young people and helping them to move forward and helping them to grow in their communities and be able to be all that they've been birthed and called to be. Because one of the things I found out, you might be in a bad situation, but the bad situation don't have to be in you. And you can still be successful. You can still be, because there's some smart kids in the hood. I'm telling you that they are brilliant. They are smart. And over the years of the decades of our life, we have seen a whole lot of things, the people that we didn't even know about that did marvelous things, that did excellent things, and they were brilliant, and they were for that moment in time. And so we want people to be in there to be able to get their moment in time, that they will rise up and be more than what their situation looks like. And so we know that to be true. All right, Daniel, I'm through talking. Tom, do you want to have anything to say before I get going, before I release it to Daniel?
No, I'll talk as we go along. I'm
okay,
good.
Come on, Daniel, we're ready.
Oh my goodness. Well, Denise, thank you so much for inviting me. This is an honor to be here to talk with you guys and your followers and everyone. So throw some questions at me. What would you like to know?
But okay, so I think a lot of times as people that want to start businesses, we just don't know, how did you say, this is what I want to do, and then you focused on that thing and stuck to it? Because like me, and Thomas knows this to be true, and everybody probably really knows me, know that I can get an idea in 5 seconds if I could just allow that to happen. I can get an idea, and I want to do all of these things. But then you just, like what they used to say, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. And so we want to focus in and master one. And that's the problem for me about focusing in. I mean, it's something that comes to me all the time. It just comes, and I'm like, oh my God, is it for somebody else or is it for me? Because I don't mind passing it on if that's what I'm supposed to do. But how do you hone in, and how did you hone in and become the entrepreneur for the business idea, the business model that you have built?
First of all, we need to ask what business you're in, how you got started, and how you have had sustainability. How have you sustained yourself? And kind of give us some ideas of the premature struggles that you had starting up the business, and how you overcame those discouragements. That's that's how I would like to start off. But we need to know who you are first, what you got going on.
Well, you guys, being an entrepreneur is exactly how you describe it. It is coming up with a vision, coming up with ideas, and you come up with so many. You know that you're an entrepreneur when you keep every 5 minutes, you come up with a new business idea. And that's a true entrepreneur. What I do is home health care. So home health care, we take care of mentally ill and disabled individuals. So I don't take care of elderly people. We take care of people who are about 40 years old or older. And generally, they can't live by themselves. So we take care of all of their ADLs, is what's called, activities of daily living. And so I have a staff of about 50 people. We have about 60 something residents that we take care of that are scattered around the city. And we've been doing this now for 17 years. And when you talk about sustainability, your mind has to be focused in order to do this, because it's not easy. In the pandemic, you guys have obviously seen that there's staffing crisis. In the pandemic, you've seen that there's been ups and downs. Well, can you imagine over 17 years how many ups and downs we've had? So I think when you talk about being an entrepreneur, you have to, once you get your idea together, which my idea was home health care, once you get that idea, you have to stick to it. You have to stick to just that one piece, that one phrase. And home health care obviously can be a whole lot of compartments or components, but I was able to stick to just the one area. And I said I wanted to help those who are disabled. People who, maybe you had a car accident and you're brain injured, something like that. So we wanted to help those folks. They can really do a lot for themselves. They just need a little assistance. So about, 17 years ago, I was a consultant for another home health care business, or businesses in general. And I would go in and analyze how you are not making money or how you can make money. What do you need to cut in order to make more money? And that was my whole thing, finances. So when I was doing that, I said, well, why don't I start my own? Why don't I just start my own project, my own business, and then I can run it the way that I want to. Not that I wanted to be an ogre, because some people get in the business and they just want to take over and tell people what to do. I wanted to do it because I said I can put a little spin on it. I can make it a little bit better than the area which it was running right then. So I did that. That was, like I said, 17 years ago. And now here we are. We started with just one client. We started with me as a staff person. It was a lot of long nights where I was the first shift, the second shift, and the third shift. And then finally, I was able to get another 2 people in. Once we got those 2 people in, then I was able to hire someone to come in. But I always like to tell entrepreneurs, it's not going to start out that way. You're going to start out being everything. The janitor, you're going to be the plumber, you're going to be the caregiver, you're going to be the nurse, you're going to be the doctor, you're going to be the receptionist that answers the phone and says, thank you for calling Jefferson Crest. You are everything. And that's what I was in the beginning. So God willing, he brought me a little ways further. And now here I am now where I don't have to, do the day-to-day things, but it's still a monstrous job.
I think that is the one thing that a lot of people, they think about, oh, I want to get off a job. I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I don't want to do this. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're still working. You're not working 9 to 5. You're probably working 7 to 10. It can be
Or
just
7
that,
to 12.
just that tedious. Yeah, that you're
Yes.
doing that. And so you're not just, you don't get off at 4 o'clock. You don't work like now. I work 8 to 4. You don't get off at 4 o'clock. You're still working past that. And so I think that's some of the things that people have to understand, that when you do have a vision, it takes some time to get to the place where you're back to an 8 to 4. So like you said, you're cleaning up, you're doing the answering the phones, and you're doing all of those types of things. And so you have to get in and do all the grunt work at the beginning, so that
Right.
it can build into what's in your mind, what you see the dream as, and to bring it to fruition. And so I don't think, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this. And it's very easy to get on those models, like, like I'll say Mary Kay, where all of that's already been done. You're just joining in and then you build. But it's even difficult to build from that, because you got to get clients, you got to get all that. But still, people think, oh, it's just easy. I'll get in here and then, oh, it's just gonna magically happen. It does not magically appear. It's not ain't nobody waving nothing. You got to get in and roll your sleeves up and get to work. And so I want you to talk from that aspect as well, because I don't think people, when you were in the beginning stages, and I know what it is to take care of somebody, because I took care of my mother and my aunt. So I know how grueling that can be. People, it is not an easy task. I'm telling you, because when you're dealing with people that may still have their mind, but they don't have the mobility, that's a whole different thing by itself. So tell us that side of it, how you had to deal with people, even though you are sending people to help them, that sometimes they are still in a different place where they want help, but they're a little mean with it.
Oh, a little mean with it, is that the word?
Yeah.
It's interesting how you talked about your mother. You used to take care of your mother. What we tried, one of the models that I came up with was relieving the pressure from a daughter. And that was one of the models we came up with. The reason why we came up with that is because people think it's very easy taking care of a loved one. But until you've given your mother a bath, it's not an easy task. And you don't understand the ramifications or the weight that's on your shoulders until you've given her a bath, until you've done those private things with your mother, that you understand, oh, our roles have reversed. And that's what the business was. And it's not, I can tell you Denise, all the jokes and fun parts that we have with the business, and the stress that goes along with it. And caregiving is the number one stress, but entrepreneurs really need to understand that hiring people is stressful. Getting a little lady in there to come to work and having her come every day to work, that's stressful. Dealing with HR issues is stressful. Dealing with when they have garnishments, dealing with those things, having to keep all the paperwork in place of what you did for it, because it's not your mom, you're taking care of a stranger really, and you have to document everything that you do, from when did we put a band-aid on, why did we put the band-aid on, did we call the doctor, when the doctor, what orders did the doctor give, what medication is she on. You have to keep all those things in order. And you spoke about Mary Kay, how if the process was already in place, and really you have a receipt form, you have a sales form, you have all that paperwork. Well, when you become a true entrepreneur and you start your business from scratch, you have to create all those forms. And those were it took time. It took time, of doing it the first time. You say, we're going to document on this piece of paper, and then you change it and you have to tear it up and you have to do it all again. And then something comes along, you got to document that now, like blood sugars and how you test people and what the results are of those tests. It's a lot of, it's very interesting to me though, because I think that's what I was created for. I was created for, and that's when going back to what you said earlier, you can have a vision every 15 minutes or every 5 minutes. That's good, because you have to be flexible when you're an entrepreneur, because 1 minute you're doing HR things, but the next minute you've got to do marketing, and you've got to be able to change and put on a different hat to do all those things to make it come together.
That is so good, because I don't think we think about that. You know, we see all this stuff and we think, oh, somebody else is doing that, but you have to pay somebody else to do that. It ain't free. It's not free. And then when you're talking about, changing the different hats, because if you think about payroll, you got to make sure you're paying the government, the Medicare and the Social Security tax and the federal stuff. So you got to do all that's a whole nother different thing. See, now when you work, you just get that somebody else is doing the job. But when you're the leader, when you're the owner, then you have all of that to do as well. So it's not an easy task. It is a difficult situation, but if you stick to it, you got to have the term they used to use, stick-to-itiveness.
I love it.
You got to have that to be able to be a true successful entrepreneur. And there will be hiccups along the way, and there will be mistakes along the way, but you learn from them. Tell us about some of that as well.
Some of the hiccups along the way, the stick-to-itiveness. I love that, because you have to be, even when, there's always people who don't see your vision. They don't see what you're trying to do. And then they come in there and they try and do something different. Our first part, I talked about our first mission at Jefferson Crest, was to relieve the pressure from daughters and sons, but it was mostly daughters, because usually daughters are the ones who are taking care of mom. So that's how we first marketed. So we didn't market saying that we would come in your house and take care of everything. We marketed saying that we're going to give you a few hours of relief. We're going to give you 4 hours where you can go to the mall or you can go to the park and just sit down and do nothing. Well, you have those people that don't think that that's a great plan, is not moving fast enough, and they're in your organization. So we had a lot of that where people didn't believe in the plan. They didn't believe that we should be marketing the way that we were marketing. They wanted us to get flyers. They wanted us to put billboards up. They wanted us to do it their way. And when someone's in your company and they're telling all the people, we're going to do it this way, and you're, as the owner or as the leader, saying, no, we're going to go this way, that's where you have strife. You have that back and forth arguing amongst your team. So now you have someone taking care of mom, someone taking care of the daughter, the other client that hired us, and now you're trying to take care of the people who have been wounded because they feel that they have not been heard. Because you got to balance that. Your employees need to be heard. So we had a lot of that in the beginning where it was back and forth. And finally, though, and I like this part about, once again, myself, where I can put on a different hat, that therapist hat, and say, now, come on, we're going to do this. I'm going to motivate you. You're going to win. We're going to do this together. And I was able to pull the team that we had. We became a very tight-knit team, especially in the early days when all of us were working first and second and third shift. We were a very tight-knit team. But the one thing I did I thought was the most impressive was tell the truth. You have to tell people the truth. Tell them, this is the way we're going to go. If you don't like this way, you can always get off the ship. But if you stay with me, if you stick in here with me, stay on the boat with me, this is where we're going to end up. And we're not going to just have one client, but we'll have 7 clients, we'll have 8 clients, but we've got to stay the course. And when you tell people the truth like that, and then they buy into it because there's no gray area in there, then all of a sudden they're following you. So you move now from 10 employees to 20 employees. And you only did that because those first 10 employees went out and called their friends and said, hey, this is a great place to work. They have a vision, they're following their vision. I feel safe and secure, and they joined. So we continue to grow from there.
That is awesome. I mean, that is really awesome. And we don't even think it. I hadn't even thought that deep about it. Like what you just said, that was, we don't even think about that. And really having people, because it's important that we have a good circle of people that really catch the vision and they want to help you bring it to pass. And so it's not just about you, it's about them as a whole, because you just gave us a whole blueprint of, it was about those 10 as a whole, that that they were important to the vision of the company. And when they accepted the challenge to get on board, then they began to grow, help it to grow as well, because they blossomed out and said, hey, listen, I work for an amazing company. And so because of that, other people, and then it just kept going, which also spoke to the clients that you had as well, because when the clients were satisfied, then they go out there and say, oh, this was a great experience. And then they tell their other friends in similar situations and say, look, I'm a daughter, or I'm a caretaker, and I was able to get some relief today. It was such an amazing. I mean, because that made a difference. So when I was coming along, and had that task, it was my neighbors that did that for me.
Yeah.
They would come, because they were older. It was neighbors then. You knew who they were. They knew your children, your children's children. I remember we used to have a neighbor. He would come around the block and he would call your whole family's name out. Or do you know this part? Do you know this price and this price? He would knew all of that. So they were like that. And so they would come. I'd go to work. They'd come and sit, or something like that. And we had things. I had to do a lot of cooking back then because I had to make sure food was available for everybody that came. But anyway, it was such a relief that I got to even go to work and to school because I had that help. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
That's an amazing amazing platform or ideal to me. I think it's amazing because I'm telling you that can be very tedious. And that can be very, just kind of heartbreaking, especially when you don't have anybody coming along. And then, like you said, the roles reversed. So I was no longer the child. I became the caretaker. So I got an idea, I got an idea. I'm writing about it. And so I'm writing a book called Opposite Roles. And I talk about the journey of that switching. Because I started that journey as a teenager, not as an adult. And so in the teenage stage, it flipped. And I became like the parent and they became like the children.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult time. It is. And even when someone's has an accident, we have a young man that had an accident on a school bus, and he was brain injured, which means he goes back to being like a third grade level of learning and understanding. And it's just extremely difficult to see that. But then to realize that he's older than I am, and I'm telling him, okay, it's time for you to take a shower. Okay, when we take a shower, this is how we take a shower. And because he has a brain injury, you have to do that every day. You have to retell him over and over again. So it becomes very difficult. So I can understand the challenge. And that was the big part of being in this industry, was because I understood that challenge. That challenge is people need a break. People can't just go full throttle into this. They have to understand that you got to get your mind wrapped around it first, that you're not the child anymore. You're let's say, for lack of a better word, the adult. And you've got to make decisions. You're going to eat at this time. You're going to go to bed at this time. You're going to take your medication at this time. And they don't always agree with you. And that becomes stressful. They remind you, I had you and you didn't have me. So
that meanness comes out.
Oh yeah, that meanness. So that's.
I want to jump in here right quick because I heard something and I want you to kind of expound on it. Starting from a small business and going into it, talk about the overcoming the fear, because sometimes people start a small business and they just want to stay a small business, and a lot of times it's based on fear. Talk about going from small business to corporation. How that transition? How was that transition for you? How did you overcome the fear of small business to transitioning into a corporation?
Thomas, sir, you do not come or get over that fear. I can tell you that right now. But
Well,
you learn. You learn how to get on that boogie board. What is that skateboard? You learn how to get on that skateboard and just go. You have to get from point A to point B. And no matter how old you are, you need to kick that leg and keep going. The fear, people often talk about fear and being an entrepreneur. It's a real thing, because the first three, I almost want to say the first year that I was in business, I didn't get a paycheck. And now I'm not wealthy by no means of the word. So I didn't have a paycheck. I had to do other things on top of the business in order to get some income coming in. So can you imagine having a business where you're seeing money come into the business, but you can't take any of it because it's not for you yet? And that's a fear. How am I going to pay my bills, my car note, my insurance? That was the first year. And I didn't want to grow any bigger because I didn't think it would get any better. I kept saying to myself, don't get bigger. It won't get better. Don't get bigger. Get this first. But then a wise man said to me, you have to grow in order to become profitable. You can't just stay with one, and what we call them is group homes in our industry. You can't just stay with one group home. You can never be profitable. You'll always be on that hamster wheel going nowhere. You'll have your 4 clients or your 5 clients, taking care of them and the best that you can, doing quality service for them, but you're not going to be profitable. So you understand that. Being in business, you have to be profitable. So even though I was afraid, I said, well, we're going to start another one. And Denise and Thomas, we started another one.
I knew I was going to pull it out of you.
We started another one because, first of all, I needed to get paid. I mean, you don't want to be in business and not making any money. So I said, okay, we're going to start another one. But, when you start the second one, it gets easier. You're still afraid that they're going to say no. You're still afraid that you're going to have some pitfalls, that you're not going to know what to do with it. But you know so many things now. You know how to fill out the paperwork, for one thing. You know who to call to get the contracts. You know what mothers or daughters need your services to add on to the clientele. So that fear becomes smaller and smaller. It's still there. It never ever leaves because it's there today, 17 years later. But it's manageable. And that's important because once we started that first CBRF and then we started the second CBRF, well, my bright idea, Denise, I'm like you, every 5 minutes I have another idea. I said, well, why don't we start a bigger one? And so then we condensed our one, which was 2 4-bedrooms, and we condensed them into one. And we had 2 8-beds, another 5-bed, and then we bought another building. So we bought a 5-unit building that was an apartment building, and we put people in there too. So we were not, once you get going, it's that fear, Thomas, that makes you keep going. You've got to have that fear. If you're not afraid, that means you're doing something wrong. When you're afraid, I believe when you're afraid, it pushes you. And that's what it did for me, because I would not be here today, because there's many people who told me you're not going to make it. 5 years and you're out. You're not going to make it because the industry changes so quickly, and you're dealing with people, not just members, what we call our the people we take care of, but you're dealing with employees, and employees are fickle. They come to work one day and won't come the next day. So that fear that you're talking about, it's never going to go away, but it's going to drive you, and you've got to let it drive you. You've got to go into the bank. Thomas, I think I told you this story one time before, where I just went in the bank and sat down and said, I need a loan. And they said, well, what do you need your loan for? I said, I need a loan for payroll because we can't make payroll. And they said, well, you have a cash flow problem. I said, okay, that's a nice word. I have a cash flow problem. I said, but I need to solve this cash flow problem and I need a loan. And they said, well, what do you have as collateral? And I said, oh, I don't have anything as collateral, but let me tell you how good I am at what I do. And they said, okay, well, that was a nice story, but we'll talk to you later. And I didn't have payroll. I mean, come on, Denise, you need payroll. So I had to go to another bank. You can't be afraid, when someone says no and then just freeze. You know how what is it? One of the people in the Bible, they just turned a pillar of salt and just froze and just stopped and couldn't go any further.
Lot's wife.
But you can't do that. You don't have time to freeze because people are depending on you at this point. And you need to move forward and make sure that you let that fear drive you.
And that's got to be a great fear, because not only do you have yours to be concerned about, but then you're concerned about these people that are working for you and their families, and how that will affect their family. And I can imagine that that is a scary place to be in. But then you think, well, we got to move forward because we got to keep working this business and we got to keep doing it. So payroll has got to be met. And so we need the people to pay on time, because then you got people, they want services, then they don't want to pay for services. Well, that can't happen. We got to have you pay. It's not free. You know, people don't want to pay for nothing. They want a deal. They want to hook up. You know, in business, you can't hook up. You know, it just ain't that. Home Depot ain't hooking you up. They're not going to hook you up. They might have a sale every now and then, but they not getting ready to let you go out there for free. It's going to be like 30% off maybe, but they don't the price don't went up. So then when they bring it down to 30%, they're still making what they were supposed to make. We got to understand that. And so
you can't be a nonprofit. You can't be a nonprofit and a for-profit at the same time. You got to make a decision on which one that you want to be, you know.
Exactly. So, and then the next thing is, you can't be the only one at the business forever. That is the thing too, because you know, people start a business and then they're gonna do everything. Like now, I'm guilty at it because you know I got a financial service, so now I can't do the taxes, do the bookkeeping, go do some mobile notary, and then I can't go over. You know, I said at some point that's not the goal of entrepreneurship. The goal of entrepreneurship is you got a business, you got a dream, you got a vision, and then you go there because you cannot do it all yourself. You just can't.
No, I tell people all the time, and people ask, you know, tell the story, tell my story. But the biggest thing about my story is I was willing to bring other people on who were smarter than I was, and especially in different areas. I brought an HR lady on who knew HR and understood HR. She did an amazing job. And I had to let her do that. And sometimes, you know, we butt heads and I say, well, don't fire this person. But she's like, but we have to follow the rules because there's no reason to have rules if you don't follow the rules. And by following the rules, we were able to stay out of trouble with the EEOC or with other entities that are overstaffing. So unemployment, you don't know, you have lots of labor laws and that you have to follow, whether they're going to get their unemployment, and you have to pay that unemployment. So her job was to stop the company from bleeding money, which we were because I was not doing any of that stuff. And that was her job. She's now moved on up in our company to become our senior vice president. And she takes care of many more things. But the point is, you have to, as an entrepreneur, allow other people to come into your business who may be experts in the area that you're only dabbling in, that you only know a little bit about. Let them come in. You're not asking them to take over for you, of course, but you're asking them to focus on their expertise on that area that needs their expertise. I'm not a nurse, but I play one on TV, so I can diagnose you real quickly. But we had to bring a nurse in, and the nurse talked about our training processes. She said that your training processes are not getting these people prepared. And I had to listen to what she said. Now, remember, I had been doing this for a couple of years before she got there, and it was working just fine, I thought. So the first phase is you don't want to take it personally. What she's saying is bettering the company. So you've got to move your ego out of the way of that, and you've got to do what's best for the company. And so, yes, my training was not the best training that the people needed. You know, I thought you're just taking a blood sugar test. You stick your person in the finger, and you get the blood, you put it on there, you write down the number, and that's the end. But she wanted to explain the entire thing to them. She wanted to explain the beginning and the end. And that was better because then they knew and they had less questions for me, because then my phone started ringing so much. I said, well, what's wrong now? But that's because they had a better understanding. So to go back to what you're saying, you have to allow people as an entrepreneur to help you with all those hats that you wore in the first 5 years. You have to wear those hats. But after that, you've got to bring some people in. And if you're not profitable, you can't afford to bring those people in. And that's where you stop and look, I can't be the notary. I can't be all these things. I have to focus in on one thing that generates enough money so that I can bring somebody else in to help me. And then I'll have more time to do all those other things I want to do.
That's really good. That is that's some good information. I'm telling you, because I don't think people realize that. And we get all this and we jump up. We want to do ministry. We want to do, we want to have all of these different things that we do, but it takes, it's a lot to it, and it takes some time to get there. And so you just have to do it. I had Tom, you got any more questions? I got some. I'm gonna get my question together. This is so good. I'm just so excited about it. I'm just like, oh my
I'm
God.
so excited to be here.
I am excited for
No,
you
go
to
ahead,
be here.
Denise.
Well, I was thinking about, and so in the beginning, a lot of people are so afraid in the beginning because they don't know what challenges may come up or what challenges they have to overcome. But can you tell us about some challenges you overcame and now you've overcome them, but they're not there, and even though they still come up, like payroll is always going to come up. But how do you navigate from that time you had to go to the bank and say, I need a loan to meet this payroll, till payroll is coming in? But what other challenges may come about even with that, from that?
I think the biggest challenge that a beginning entrepreneur is going to face is money. That's their biggest challenge, and that's their biggest fear too, is money. Because you don't have it unless your mother or your father left you $300,000, just to play with, then you don't have the money to start your business. So most people go into their savings, most people go into their 401ks, and they take all the money out of that and put it into the business, and then the business has to win. So then you're nervous about that. One of the obstacles that we had was money. But I was able to find, and there's tons and tons of people who are giving money away now. I don't know where they were when I was doing this, but there's tons of people giving away. They call me on the phone now. Do you want to borrow $2 million? I said, sure, but I don't really need it. The point is that when the beginning, you had to go find the money. And when you go find the money, that means you have to talk to a lot of people and tell a lot of people your story, your vision. And once you start telling people, you have to be quiet and listen to what they have to say. Some are going to send you the wrong direction, and some are going to send you in the right direction, and you don't know which is which. But you have to be bold enough to take everyone's advice and say, okay, now which direction is best for me? And what we did was we joined was called Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative, which was a program in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the business is. And they said that they would fund a minority business. But you had to have a business plan. You had to tell them where the money was going and how you were going to use the money. Well, I went in there just gung-ho, thought I was going to get, $300,000 like I needed, but they gave me $25,000. And, you guys, I know that sounds like a lot of money for your listeners and for you guys, but that's not in a business. You can use that in payroll, and 2 payrolls, that'll be gone. And pay the rent too, that'll be gone. So that wasn't enough. So I had to every day come up with a new plan of how to bring money into the program. And that's where those ideas, so we did the mother-daughter first, where we give you just a relief, that was called respite care. And then we start housing people. Once we start housing people, we were able to get a government contract where we were able to get room and board for those people. So those people paid room and board, and then those people paid services. Still, Denise, that was not enough. You have to, money is always, it's always going to, until your business starts being profitable, money is going to be a hindrance. And I think that when Thomas talked about what are the things that cause fear, that cause fear, but that's something that you just have to push through. You have to go to the next bank. You have to go and you have to educate yourself. YouTube is my college. I did graduate from college, but YouTube is my college. And all you have to do is type in loan or type in payroll or type in whatever you're trying to get some information on, and 30 people in their home basement will tell you what they did. And sometimes you use that stuff and sometimes you don't. But you know what? I was able to find out about credit for the business. I was able to find out about how to leverage the business. We didn't just go in and buy those buildings that we bought, just because I had some collateral stashed away. It was because I knew that you can structure a loan based off of what the asset that you're bringing into the business, because commercial and what is the commercial and the other one where you buy your own personal home, it's different. Thomas is saying it, but I can't. It's different. But commercial lending is much different. And you just need to sit down, and this is the advice.
Residential and commercial. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's residential and commercial. They're two different beasts. You need to know about commercial so you can understand how to buy your building, because you don't have $75,000 sitting around. Otherwise, you would have payroll. So, once you understand by listening to YouTube and listening to other people, the one advice I always give to people: be quiet. Because people want to tell you their story. They want to tell you how they did it. And then all you need to do, not recreating the wheel, just follow them step by step, especially when you find a good person that's willing to tell you everything. Just listen. Don't talk as if you know. Don't talk as if you have some advice to give to them. Just listen. Because when you walk away, you're going to have a wealth of information that you can use. I'm for Jefferson Crest itself. We were renting our places. Now we own 4 buildings now. I mean, that's unheard of. 4 buildings we own that we're not paying rent to anyone else. We're renting. My other company that I have is renting the business to Jefferson Crest, and Jefferson Crest is paying the rent to my other company. You see how I'm keeping that in-house?
Listening is a gift. Listening is a gift.
Yes,
I tell people that all the time. I believe
that the people who listen are the ones that are financially secure, the ones that are safe. They listen. And I'm not, I always stop people saying, there are always people out there who have bad intentions, but you're going to always be around people who have intentions that are not good for you. You have to learn to decipher, inside of yourself, what's good and what's bad. But once you have something in front of you, a goal in front of you, you can accomplish that goal. Money shouldn't stop you. Fear shouldn't stop you. But learning to listen is going to help you along the way. And reading, you got to read and learn some things.
That is so good. That listening, because so many times we think we know, so we're interjecting and saying stuff, and we don't know. You don't know. I know I don't.
Nothing worse than you sitting up trying. You already have the experience, because experience is the master teacher, right? And nothing worse than you having the experience and trying to tell someone that have questioned you how you got where you are, and trying to teach them how to get there, and they're sitting there saying, but. No, we gotta listen, because in order for us to do, I remember as a general manager for Wyndham Hyatt Hotel Group, the owner of the hotel, who had been running hotels all of his life, that's from their culture. That's what they do. They do the hotel industry. Mm-hmm. He was trying to tell me something about the franchise, and I just kept saying, but he said, no, just shut up. Don't say nothing else about the franchise. You let me handle the franchise. And I said, oh, okay. So I, just by me listening to him and doing what he told me to do, because it's always good to follow. I'm finding it's always good to follow. Even in leadership, sometimes it's always good to follow. And like Daniel was talking about, the deciphering between the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. You'll hear what you need to hear if you listen.
If you listen, you'll hear what you need to hear, and you'll hear what you're not supposed to hear also.
Yes.
One of the things I like that you said too, you said you went, and we get tickled about YouTube University, but these are people that have actually done these things. And so you went on there and you listened, and you got stuff from them to be able to move forward. It's something different to talk to people that have never done it, but they want to be an expert at it. They got so much information, and that can be so frustrating. And so, when people, this is my thing, like, I have my background is in nonprofit. I have a master's degree in nonprofit management. I've done nonprofit accounting, all these types of things. But when people begin to talk to me and they act like I don't know nothing, I shut up. Let me sit over here and shut up. I guess all my years of working ain't about nothing. But they pay me good for my years of working when I go someplace and try to get a job. But nevertheless, people will talk to you like you don't know. So I say, well, okay. That's my look right here.
I'll save my saliva. That's what I say. I'll save my saliva.
Let them talk. It's so many people in the industry who come to me and ask, for my assistance, but then don't want to listen to what I have to say. And I say, well, and they come, the biggest part is payroll. It really is. In most industries, it's going to be payroll. And they say, well, what did you do? So I start telling them the story of what we did to get over the payroll and get a line of credit so we could have some backup in place. But they don't want to hear that. They want to tell how they can't get it and what's wrong with their credit score and what's wrong with this or that in their finances. And, I never talked about any of that. I say, well, do you want my advice? And do you want me to give you the step-by-step, or do you want to tell me what to do? And it shocks them because they're saying to themselves, I know what to do already. And they don't. They don't. And they go home and they make a mess of things. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But I think a part of being an entrepreneur is learning to learning to accept that other people have done what you're trying to do or what you're thinking about doing, and they failed. Some have failed and some have been successful. Maybe you're talking to someone who's been successful. They know something that you don't know, and you've got to just humble yourself and listen to them.
Ooh, that's a
I
good
deal
word.
with that all the time in real estate. I try to educate buyers and on and sellers in the process. And first thing they tell me is something one of their cousins said. My friend told me this, and nothing just eats me up like just sitting there listening to them trying to tell me what their cousin said, and they're not the expert. I went to school for this. I didn't just, not only did I go, I didn't take those four little classes you take and the two little the 6 little classes you take and just jump in there and hit the street. I went to school for a whole year. I got my real estate degree. So I know what I'm talking about. And then with 12 years as an experience, 12 years in this industry, I ought to know something. I ought to have something to offer. And one of the major problems I see in our culture is that we want the knowledge, but we don't want to go get the knowledge. If that makes any sense, they'll hold me hostage, when it comes time to trying to purchase a home. But when you're offering those credit counseling classes and those home buying classes and giving that information away for free, they don't want to come to that. But they want to stop you in traffic and say, tell me the whole process of buying a house. No, we can't do it all in one setting. We got to learn to listen and educate ourselves.
And Daniel said a key word: humble ourselves. People don't want to humble themselves. They just want to, they want to walk like, oh, I know how to do that. I know how to get this done. Well, if you knew how to get it done, you'd be doing it. That's the first thing. And so if you're struggling with how to get it done, that means you don't know and you need some help. So humility goes a long way. Christ taught us that. If nothing, he taught us that humility goes a long way. And so we have to humble ourselves, and we have to respect people's, you can't do everything. Now, I know people, they trying to do the books. They don't have no accounting experience. Don't even know. Let's start with this. They don't even know how to work Excel. Let's start there. They don't even know how to do that. So you can't even get it in balance because you don't even know how to sum it all up, So we have people with all of this stuff, and I just be sitting over, and it's all because I don't want to pay nobody else to do it. I don't want to get nobody else to do it. And so they do all of this kind of stuff like that. And so those are just some of the things. And don't nothing get my goat better than you keep calling me, asking me for accounting advice, but yet you don't want, but then you'll go and get somebody else and pay them to do it. That's too much right there. That's too much. No, but people do it all the time. They'll hold you hostage about what you done put. You got student loan money you paying back for this here. And then they think, I got to keep paying this student loan money about this degree I done went and got, and years of experience I done gathered. But yet you want to go, I've heard Thomas say that they'll hold him hostage about real estate, and then they'll go get another real estate agent. I mean, come on, it's too much. And so, but I'm just so thankful. I know we almost passed almost to our hour, but anyway, I said this. I said, Daniel, this is probably gonna take maybe more than one. So hopefully you'll come back and do a segment too. And I hope this video will be a blessing to you. So I'll send you this so you can use it for some teaching, something that you need to use it for, I say, hey, start do like the rest of them, get one of them classes and start. I got video, you got somebody edit what you need to edit. But anyway, because we got to, as a community, we have got to come together and begin to work together to bring our people, our community up and out into a better place if we were ever going to do that. And so, like I think years ago, I had an idea, we was all talking about nonprofits. We all had our little corner, that we was going to hold down. I said, well, why don't we come together and do that, come up under one umbrella? Everybody still is the owner of their own piece. You know what I'm saying? You still the CEO over there, this one right here, but we come under the same umbrella so we can get more accomplished. But, that didn't happen. So anyway, but, that was the idea. But, we should have done it because now some people ain't operating at all. But, but we have to want to come together instead of wanting to be in control, because sometimes it ain't so much about the control, but it is about getting it done and coming together and getting things done. It's been so, do we have any more? I mean, I got about 6 pages of questions, but anyway.
Oh, goodness. I think, Denise, what you said is so important, because we as a people, as a race, we really, really have an issue understanding fear and understanding money and understanding these things that are, the information is out there. There's no one who should have bad credit. You should not have bad credit when all you have to type in is, how do I fix my credit? And then follow the step-by-step that Google gave you. You can talk to Alexa and she'll give you some information. You don't have to pay $200 for that. Our people, we want to drive the Lexus before we even drove the other car, the other one. We can't do that. We have to take the time to learn what we need to learn and humble ourselves to learn that information, and remember that there are people who have come before us. That's so important, that there are people who come before us, and they're teachers. They're teachers, and they're going to teach us how to do it. And then the other thing that we need to understand is money. We've got to understand how money works. Stop giving our money away to other people. And that's one of the other reasons I became an entrepreneur, because why was I giving 9 hours a day of my day, plus on Saturday, and then worried about it on Sunday about what was going to happen? Why was I giving all that energy to somebody else when I could put that energy in myself, in my family, and create generational wealth for my family? And then once you get that goal set in your head, you figure out how to do it. And it's pieces. It's not all going to come at once. The Rockefellers didn't just become great all at once. They had piece after piece after piece. And the one thing is realizing, where am I paying rent to? Why am I not owning my home? Why am I paying rent to someone else? Why am I not owning the building that my business is renting? Why don't I own that business or that building? And I think our people, we just need to keep hearing. So what you're doing is so incredible. What you're doing is getting the information out that we as a people need to hear. And the one thing that we learn, or the one way that we learn, there's several ways that we learn. I know you as that you know them, but the one way is by listening. It's by actually having someone talk and tell us orally. They telling us how to do these things. And that's why I was so excited to be a part of this today. And you just keep doing what you're doing, because that's how we learn. And that's how we're going to keep this generational wealth in our generations for the next generation to come.
Exactly. That's so important. I mean, we have got to do that. And I heard somebody had sent me a clip of their pastor preaching, and he said, you don't need no miracle to get no car. He said, you need good credit. He said, that's what you need, is good credit. You need good credit. You don't need a miracle. You need good credit. And so many times, as a community, we want, I need a miracle, Lord. No, you need good credit. I told somebody this today, matter of fact, and I told somebody else this. They were saying, well, I got to build my credit score up. I said, get you this is funny. Now, this is funny right here. I said, get you a finger hut account. I told him, I ain't playing. I told him that. I said, because that finger hut is going to report if you do right, If you pay it on time, don't get overrun, just buy one thing, pay it off in 4 times. They are going to report to the credit bureau. It's like I told them. I said, and then I said, get you a credit union. Go to the credit union, put you $1,000 in a savings, save your little money up, 500, whatever it's gonna be. Borrow against that. I said, don't spend nothing. Now borrow against it, pay it back. They're gonna report to the credit bureau. They're gonna raise your score. I was just giving helpful hints. That's all I was giving, stuff that I've done for myself.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to help build your credit score. We keep going and paying all these people to do these credit things, and we paying them $60 a month when we didn't really have no $60 money. We pay that on, So anyway, and not that that's not a good business to be in. I'm not saying anything about that. But what I'm saying is there are other ways to be able to build your credit up without having to pay somebody to write stuff off your credit. That's what I'm saying.
Because your credit is your name.
Exactly.
It is.
Your credit is your name. And I tell people all the time in real estate, if you don't honor your name, you're not going to ever be able to get anything on credit, because your credit is your name. Because when they pull it, first thing they ask you on the application is, what is your name?
That's Social Security number.
When you make that credit application, first thing they want to know is your name before the Social Security number or anything else.
Yeah, they want to know your name.
Credit is your name, and you have to protect your name. And your name, if you got to make your name great by protecting it, and if you don't protect your name, you can't do good in business if you don't protect your name. And longevity. And like he was talking about sustainability, you got to have longevity. And the only way you can establish that longevity is by protecting your name. Right. And if I go to Mr. So-and-so and have him to fix my car, and he take the parts off, the new parts off, and put the old ones on there and give me the car back to the old parts, I'm gonna eventually figure out that he jacked my car up, right? And I'm gonna scatter that across the community. That man will take the old parts off of your car and put the new parts off your car and put the old parts on there. That automatically destroys your name. You can't be shysty in business. And like Daniel was saying, you always got to tell the truth.
You always got to tell the truth. You
always got to tell the truth.
Well,
you got people, I had somebody say, well, I took my car to get it fixed, and they've had it for 6 months, and now somebody done stole it.
Oh my.
I said, did nobody steal the car? They sold the car because you done left it over there too long. And so, because people got to do what they got to do. They stole it, they sold it because you left it there too long. So we have got to be good stewards. And this is, and believe me, I pray this, I tell Lord, bless me to be a good steward over what you've given me. Right. And I haven't dotted every I and crossed a whole bunch of T's, but I'm telling you, I've gotten better. And it's my excitement to get better, to do the right thing. And so we have to want to do that. And so as a community, we got to want to get better and not continue to still be, in that place. I'm so thankful for this today, because this helps us to get a thought pattern for all of us that have jumped out there and started businesses but haven't done nothing with them. I got a long way to go. I'll be the first to admit I got a long way to go when I listen to all this today.
Not that far. It's not that far. I think the most interesting thing is when you have 5 ideas, just pick the best one that feels good to you and go with it. You'll see.
That's good advice right there. Pick the best one and work that until, and when you get that work, then you branch out.
Yes.
Yeah, you can branch out. But I'm just excited. Look at all that you've done. You're just an amazing accomplished, had so many amazing accomplishments. And thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. And I hope we can get you back here for a follow-up, because we really need more, more information. People, we just got to get it. And if we come together and do these things, then we can build a better community and help people to really be, because we got to think, all of these big corporations came from somebody's idea. Mm-hmm. It was somebody had an idea. If we think about Microsoft, he had an idea. And one thing I think about sometimes people of other cultures, they'll come together. They might not even like each other. They may not even like each other, but the idea, they know it's going to be a multi-million-dollar situation eventually. So they come together and they get it done. They may not even like each other, but they get it done because they're going for a greater good, a greater purpose. And so we got to do that. Now, I'm not saying get with people you don't like, but what I'm saying is we got to come together for a greater purpose. And
Right.
so when we do that, we'll show up, but we have got to show up. You know, we have to be, you know, people that will want to help others to move forward, but the others got to want to move forward. If you still want, you know, it's just like now, you know, I had some questions. I know what I had to come about digital real estate. I want to talk about that because we got all these things that are coming. Metaverse for entrepreneurs, all these things that are coming, these new age things that are coming. So it's taking us in some other places. Are you ready to move forward? Or you still want to be over there? You know, what we got, you know, and I know the older generation is fearful of a lot of things, but nevertheless, if you're still in the earth, you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to get some, you know, some electronic stuff going on. You can't keep, because after a while, the bank ain't gonna let you call and do all that. They're gonna tell you go online, you gotta do this. You know, they want you to do that now. But, you know, so we may not be going into the bank buildings as usual. We might be, you know, if we think about some of this stuff that's coming up now, I think about the cartoon that was one of my childhood cartoons I looked at all the time called the Jetsons. Remember the Jetsons? I don't know if y'all remember that. Yeah, you know, everything was, they were futuristic, right? They were moving, like you just get on the little conveyor belt, you go through there, it washed you, it changed you, got your boom, you came out, you was dressed and ready to go. And so then the cars were flying in the air and all these kind of things were going on. But if we think about that and where we are today, some of these movies that we see coming out, like The Matrix just had another movie come out, and the things that if we look into that, that's where things are going. It's going to a very futuristic path. And so you gotta either get on board or stay over there and I don't know what you're gonna do over there, but anyway, you gotta get on board.
It's so good. It's
Forward.
great.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time today, because I know your time is precious.
Absolutely.
And I always am appreciative of anybody's time, because you don't have to give nobody no time, because time is the one thing you can't get back. Once that minute's gone, it's just gone. So thank you so much, Daniel, for being on Impact Moments today and telling us about entrepreneurship and all the things, the great things, and how you walk through the path. See, sometimes people want to say, oh, I'm this, but they don't want to walk people through the path, and you walked us through a path today. Thank you so much for all that we learned today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me, and I definitely will come back again.
Thank
See
you
you guys
so much.
later.
Thank you. Talk to y'all later.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right.
Thank you.